Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial, how to model an ergonomic hammer with Shapr3D. In this tutorial, I will explain to you all the necessary sketches I created and how via smart direct modeling, I sculpted the hammerhead model. Feel free to download the shared design so you can follow this video easily. Okay, let's have a look at how I did this design. Here you can see is the final model. It's broken down into the top and the bottom part. Let's take a look at the sketches. This is where all the magic actually takes place. As you can see at the bottom, right here, there we have all the sketches for the handle. And up here, there are all the sketches for the tool head. So let's focus first on the tool head. And let me explain you how I solved the troubleshooting, figuring out how to create the sketches I needed to model the shapes and forms I wanted. First, let me explain this a little bit. Let's go to this view. And there you see, this is the one part of the head. And then here, this is the second part of the head. I broke those down separately on purpose because they also will be created via different modeling tools. This area here is also broken down into these segments because, as you can see now with the dimensions, this were all the elements I was able to measure easily. And for example, here with this arc, then I added in some extra lines, which are vertical and dimensioned, to kind of like have a little bit more control over the final model I would create. So before I continue, I will hide this one and this sketch. Very good. Okay, so let me quickly show you now how I modeled the head. So here I created kind of like an outline for the tool head, vertical lines here and there. And then with this fill, you can easily extrude this one out. 23. Then we'll make this 46. Very good. Okay, very nice. So where the handle goes into the tool head, it's actually not as wide. And then where we have the tool tip, it's wider. But you can see that this extrusion made actually a shape that is very, well, kind of like a box. And here I have another sketch. I go to the top view. So the selection went away. When I go to a top view, you can see how these curves really help me to define actually the top and bottom flow. So with a side sketch, I created the side view, and then with the top sketch, I can create the top view. And now to find actually the final shape, I will extrude this one down through the body. And instead of cutting, I will select the Boolean intersect command. And now there you can see I have actually a shape that is wider at the front and more narrow in the back. Perfect, no? Okay, very good. Here we have also an opening, which I measured and put into the sketch. This is for the opening where later the handle actually is going to be pushed through. Very good. Okay. So this is maybe a good start, but this face, for example, will be rotated a little bit. And here, this is not a linear cut. So what tools do we have here to give this a little bit more of an interesting shape? So this face, I can easily rotate. Use the rotate tool. I could have done this inside the sketch too. I simply kept the sketches rather very simplistic and do this via direct modeling. So you see this face, I just rotated by 1 degree, 2 degrees. And I make sure that at the bottom there, this does not eat into the space, because this is kind of like the minimum material thickness I need around the wooden handle. So, okay, so rotating that face was easy. Can we do the same with here? And we can select this face because this was a linear line we extruded from. We can rotate around this edge. So this face, rotate, move the widget to there. And let's rotate this by 2 degrees too. Okay, actually not too bad. Now you see how this whole body gets a little bit more interesting. There. Very nice. Let's take a look at the bottom here. Okay, not too bad. Here we also have an opening for the nail. So there is a sketch which I created, and then I moved the sketch via the rotation command into that position so I can cut through it. Very nice. Okay. So before we continue, I will hide this body. And I will go back to here one more time. 23, 46. Very good. Here, this face, we do rotate again. And this time, I will turn on these sketches here. Let's hide this and select those 3 sketches and do a loft. And then let's rotate around and take a look at what's happening. So yes, you can see there is not much on the outside, but where things change is here in the inside. So you see to the bottom, it gets a little bit more narrow. Okay. So this object, I need to make a copy. So I mirror this over. Very good. Let's show our tool element here. Good. These 2 bottom parts need to be extruded down. Very nice. So from this, I will subtract these 2. When I go to here now, there you can see that this is now a nice curve instead of just a straight line. So this is, for example, the opposite, not the opposite, sorry. This is the different outcome you can get by only rotating a face, like in this case, or by cutting the face via an extra surface. Very good. This is the shape I want to use. So we will cut this. We will cut this. Very nice. Let's make this a little bit nicer. Can fillet this a little bit, not too much. Very good. Okay. This here, I can at this point round to a little bit. Okay. And we can keep this for the moment. So more or less, this right now is done. Now we can take a look at how we do the other part of the hammerhead. Here I will select all the required profiles of my sketch, then select a line, do a revolve. Very good. And when I select this object and this, I can union them together. See, it's just one object. Here I have a sketch. The sketch, this rectangle I put it there, so I can actually trim this clean. You see also this sketch lines up at the bottom with this line, which will make, as you can see, this one flat surface. Very good. This can go. So how do we remove the rest that hangs over there? Check this out. This is the beauty of direct modeling in Shapr. We just delete that. face, and the modeling kernel solves the rest. And now we have this really beautiful curve. So a nice transition from a cylinder to a flat surface, and then there's this transition there in between. Very nice. Here, this edge is from there a little bit too far away. I can select this edge and move this over a tick, and you see the modeling kernel then adjusts the rest for me. Beautiful. Very nice. Based on how I would like to proceed, I can round various specific edges. So this one edge I rounded first. So I can round these edges now with a fillet of 1. And then I can do the same here, fillet of 1. Very good. I will hide all these sketches here because I need to look to the inside, and these vertical edges I would like to be a fillet of 2. Very good. There. This is a really nice, kind of organic looking hammerhead handle. And I hoped you saw actually how simple this modeling was. It was just really figuring out what type of sketches do I need, and then via direct modeling, how can I create the transitions. Okay, so let's go back and take a look at how we also can do the handle. I have the sketch down here, but this is actually not a sketch I created initially. First, I had this rectangular opening here. And then from the center, I drew down 2 lines with a spline there in between. How did I figure out, by the way, where to position this line so it's perfectly centered to there? When I go back and select the sketch, you can see how everything is perfectly lined up to the grid. So when I go to a top view, there you can see how this lines up. So when I draw the sketch, you see there's a midpoint. And if I go, hold on, kind of like to this view, I hope this will be, I might have to actually bring this down to there. Very good. So when I start now to rotate this up, think about this line. If we would extrude this one straight up, or here, I can actually move this straight up. There you can see how this vertical line on my on this sketch kind of like is on a grid that would line up with this line on the ground grid. Okay, I hope this was kind of like easy to understand how the front grid and the top grid, those are all aligning up. And when I use grid snapping, it's very easy to draw a line that's horizontal and make it match to a line that is vertical. Anyway, so this face, I can now sweep along these 3 sketches. By the way, this spline is tangent constrained to these 2 lines. So it will be a nice transition. So I select the face, select the lines, select sweep, and there is my body. I could round these edges, but then this is going to look very utilitarian with flat sides. That's not very ergonomic. It's not going to feel very good in my hand. But I have here this face at the bottom. And when I select a face of a geometry and then double tap it, you see the grid is being pushed onto that face. and then I can sketch on it. So that is actually how I then created this sketch right at the bottom of this handle. And I used a little bit of calculation. So you see the distance from here to there, the distance from there to there. That's all measured out a little bit so that it will somewhat fall into the parameter of this outer rectangle. And essentially then this I deleted because I didn't need it anymore. Because now I had this perfectly positioned. And then I do a sweep one more time. This time that way. You see? This way then we can get a really nice gentle transition. Here, this we extrude up. But you see, there are some things missing. So we have to be careful here. That's why I will actually hide this first, so I can extrude this one as needed. You notice how everything here snaps also in steps. All this is turned on. So I don't need to measure really how high this has to go. I can move this up, and when it snaps to a location where this lines up with this line, here the snapping, I know this is a perfect match. So there you can see how this fits in. I remember that for the hammerhead here, these corners, I rounded by 2 millimeters. And then I can join those together. There, now it's one. And it will fit in there. Very good. Cool. So how do we now how can we create openings so that they are nicely lined up and are also following line-wise or orientation-wise this angle of the handle? Let me show you a little trick. You see here I have a line and there I have a line. And let's actually go to here first. I have this and this. And when I select these two lines and make them parallel, you see how they rotate together. So this line, it actually has, this point is locked, then this point I should lock to. And then I drew another line to make it parallel to that line. So essentially, like here, these two I will lock. And then I can bring this one down to there. Let's draw another line. I will do the same. And these two lines I will make equal. Let's do this one more time. And make this equal again. Very cool. Okay. So why did I do actually these 3 smaller lines? Here, check this out. From there, each point I draw a small circle, and then all these circles I make equal. Look at this. See, I can move it away, I get it closer, I can expand them, I can get them closer, I can dimension this. So this is actually super easy and very useful to very quickly create a pattern. So that is the way how I created this pattern there. And then all I need to do is select all the profiles, cut, select the profiles here, cut again, and then I have these edges which I can round. And there we are. If this works, great. If this does not work, I could undo the steps and then actually adjust the sketch. By the way, this is all done via basic geometry. So this is actually a circle, meaning also here I can go ahead and overwrite everything. I can make one circle bigger. I can make one circle smaller. If I want, I can also delete this part, adjust this circle, and then recut as needed. This edge down here, we can, for example, fill it. Yeah. Let me actually show you a nice, easy step how we could make this a little bit bigger. So this I will bring up by 5 millimeters. Very good. This one here now, I will extrude by 5 millimeters, and then I will expand this a little bit by 2 millimeters, not too much. Cool. Okay. Select both objects, join them, very nice. 5 millimeter looked like a lot. It's not really enough, so let's make this taller. There we are. We can actually even expand this a tick more. And then select those edges and round everything. So this way I can make very easily a small stopper for my hand. Some of my fingers slide up and down this surface. Basically, this edge will prevent the hammer handle to easily slip off my hand or out of my hand. Okay, and this basically sums up the process I used to very quickly design an ergonomic looking hammerhead. And that looks a little bit complicated, but I hope you saw, based on the sketches I created, it's actually quite simple.